Most architects are super amazing at designing. They've spent years learning how to refine their process, and that is something that cannot be taught in a few weeks. As the years go by, as a design architect, I also became better at learning how to put a building together. It's no simple task. In our day, we used to use a drawing board with butcher paper, with a see-through paper that we could retrace our plans at many different stages. And at the end of the night, you would have a whole wastebasket full of paper with all the stuff that you've discarded. And then the crystal clarity of the design would come through with time. So just quickly at this stage, you may be asking why you should listen to me. I've spent the last 25 years in some of the biggest commercial firms in Africa and the Middle East, and generated tens of millions of dollars in fees. In this video, we're going to take a look at the issues facing design architects when they bring their design thinking into the virtual environment. And then we're going to take a look at ways to refine this process in a much easier way. Let's jump back into the conversation. However, after we become incredible at learning the design architectural process, the issue comes in of learning how to use the computer to translate what you've created on paper or in your mind, and then put it into the computer and use the tools of the computer to refine that idea to the next level so that it could be built or even rendered. So the whole idea of migrating into the virtual environment is something that everyone's doing these days. And that comes with a lot of complexity. There's a huge amount of complexity in the area of design process because there's so many tools that are available. A lot of people are working in ArchiCAD, a lot of people are using Vectorworks, but mainstream tools like Revit, most big commercial offices in the world are using BIM 360 and Revit and collaborating with teams in the technical production process of drawings. But when it comes to creativity, a lot of people are using Rhino and SketchUp, Grasshopper, parametric tools. And there's a whole lot of new AI tools that are coming out every week, like Snapshot, like TestFit for schematic design. And then there are hundreds of tools that are coming out for render processes, pulling it all together. We have tools like D5 Render, which is absolutely amazing to see how it works. So we need to pull this whole process together on the PC in our virtual environments. And a lot of architects get lost within the choices that they make. They're choosing the wrong softwares to perform actionable tasks, and they land up finding themselves in a bottleneck, not because they can't design, but simply because they're not using the right tools for that particular part of the process, be it schematic design, planning, or presentation. You may be asking right now, so what is the solution? You've got technology, you've got your design process. How do you bring those two together? And the trick is, the way you bring it together is you learn from mentorship, you learn from someone else's trial and error, someone who has used all the tools that are being used in the industry, like Revit, like SketchUp, like Photoshop, like all the AI render tools, like the schematic design tools, and you need to leverage off their experience. It's the same as learning music. You need to go to a teacher to teach you how to play music. If it's the piano or the violin or the guitar, you need someone experienced that's been there before, down that road, to show you how to perform the processes that you need to learn on the guitar, for instance, the chords, the way you pick the chords on the guitar. And there's so much more that one can learn, and you can evolve in that process. So the question is, how do you streamline your workflow process? You learn from someone else's innovation, from someone else's trial and error. And there are easy ways to pick the best parts of each software and put them together into a workflow that is super simple and exciting to use. So the next thing you may be asking is, I don't have the time to learn. I've got so much work on my plate. I have to run a business, or I'm working in a commercial firm. I've got so many tasks that I need to perform. But the truth be told is, if you understand a workflow, then you can already start to integrate it into your process. But you need to know where the pieces of the puzzle lie, and then you can use your existing work to integrate it into your process. So time is definitely something that we need to consider. However, the faster you implement a process into your workflow, then the more time you're going to have to learn more. So like someone once told me, if you don't invest in yourself, no one will. So you're either going to plateau in your existing workflow or you're going to grow. You need to make that choice, and no one can help you make that choice except yourself. In order to get the right workflow and process and strategies in place for your design process on the PC and refine them, it's the same sort of idea. You need to learn from someone else's mistakes, someone else who has worked in the industry and through trial and error has refined the process and is also working with the latest technologies. And what I suggest for architects is to come and join our design proposal studio, where we'll be looking at your process and finding ways for you to leverage the tools and the workflows that will really make you become more efficient, so that number one, you can win more projects, you can move out of being pigeonholed by the companies that you presently work in, that you can become more creative with your design architecture, and that you can go to bed early without working through the night before deadlines. I'd really like to hear from you how you're struggling or how you're succeeding in your design workflow, leveraging the tools of the PC and the latest AI tools, simply by commenting below. And if anything that I spoke about resonated with you, you can come join us for a complimentary membership in the Architects Design Proposal Studio. Simply click the link in the description below and I'll see you inside the group. So if you're ready to go a little bit deeper, you can watch this video right now.